This week on DRC, first the boys discuss tournament experiences this past week. Next, a very interesting and enlightening discussion on what to expect in the meta for the next month. DRC confirmed, put on your tinfoil hats, folks. And lastly, listener questions, including one about potential legendary cards in Hearthstone. All that and more, DRC starts right now.
You're listening to the Death Rattle Crew, a Hearthstone
podcast. DRC, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Death Rattle Crew, a Hearthstone podcast. This is episode 56. I am one of your hosts, Mike Tech2her, and joined by Matt Mushu Hill.
You are indeed, Mikey.
Bradford Lee.
That's me.
And Just Soup is not going to be here this week. Yeah, I think he's doing some pleb stuff at school or something like that. So, yeah, he's not here. But we're here. Don't forget, you can follow us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. Just search Death Rattle Crew. If you're not already subscribed to the podcast, go subscribe. It's Death Rattle Crew. You can go to our website, www.deathrattlecrew.com. And you can write into us at mail@deathrattlecrew.com. And Bradford Lee, where can people find you streaming during the week?
Twitch.tv/Bradford Lee. Pretty simple.
Beautiful. This week, Matt, we'll start with you. What's been going on?
Dico. I've been pretending to grind into Legend. Like, it's sort of all I have left to do this month is to get to Legend, but I'm failing so fucking hard. It's like, have you ever rubbed yourself up against a cheese grater?
Once or twice.
Once or twice. But if you do it continuously, you would think that you would get used to it because, it's a cheese grater. But it does not you don't get used to it. And so I've been grating away and I have lost my thumb, as you can see right there.
That's a good magic trick, Matt. Yeah. For those you playing at home.
I've lost my thumb, guys.
Matt just hit his thumb for those of you playing at home. That's all you did.
Then immediately revealed it by accident. I was looking at myself in the camera. Didn't work out, boys. Other than that, no, I've been preparing mentally for the laser tag Australian Championships when I'm playing out on.
It's that time, isn't it?
So I'll be going for 2 weeks off playing laser tag. So you have to rely on Just Soup to fill the void, maybe. Or you can get Jeremy back. I didn't say that.
Jeremy, come back.
Jeremy, stay where you are. Other than that, not much. Not much is just Hearthstoning.
What's your laser tag team name? Do you have a team name?
This year, the laser tag team name is the WA Wolves. Now, Wolves is not a particularly inventive name. I made a point of this year trying to come up with a unique name, and then it was unique to most sports in Australia as to separate ourselves. But we had two names to default back to if we didn't come up with a name in time. So we had Wolves and Titans were the two names we were going to come back to. And we did not come up with a better name, and I was very fucking sad. So yeah, this team, I'm usually on a top tier team. I'm on a less good team this season. This year for a series of reasons, but I don't know. It should be all right because it's it'll be a different experience playing from the middle of the pack rather than being on the top end of things. So it's gonna be more of a holiday 2 weeks rather than just serious business all the time, which will be different. There might be some time to play some Hearthstone because I missed the first 2 weeks of the March season, but I want to get back on it in order to get my point. I'm gonna get my point this season because points are reset, motherfuckers.
Get it. And I think I've asked you episode 10 or 15 or something. Are you the kind of guy that runs up, grabs someone's chest, and just continually fires lasers into it? Are you that kind of guy?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I thought so.
Shoot them all the time. All right, 500 points. We're good.
Yeah.
Yes, Magnus Bear Dicks. Bradford did play in one of those Blizzard tournament things.
Yeah, Brad.
He can talk about that.
You're next. What's going on?
I played in the prelims last weekend and got romple stomped.
You say he won, boys. He won the 10 grand.
Yeah, that's it. No, I got crushed in a couple circuit. Well, I didn't crush. Both of my matches I lost were 3-2, so they were close. One of them was a timely low theb that beat me. The other one was the game was over before it started. I played against Hunter and I was playing Anyfin, and I mulliganed my entire hand and picked up both my Anyfin can happens, and I was just like, well, this game's over. So
Anything didn't happen.
Nothing happened.
Is what you
I basically did nothing that entire game. I think I cast a Sludge Belcher on turn 5, and then he was like, okay, kill it with a kill command, and then I just died. So that sucks.
Ouch.
So yeah, that's what I did this weekend. Other than that, I have just been getting ready to get back on the YouTube train, doing some more YouTube content, as well as just getting a couple little life things figured out and grinding a lot of Legend, trying to get to the top 100, or trying to get myself positioned for top 100 before the end of the season. So same as it ever has been with me. Nothing changes in my life these days. Play Hearthstone.
Rip.
I mean, that's not a bad thing.
You get on Tinder. I feel that usually changes your life in a positive way or a bad way. Like sometimes I was on Tinder for a while. It was terrifying.
Was it a wild ride?
Sure.
Yeah.
I got some Tinder dates out of it. Some of them were better than others. Definitely, there were some better than others.
How many Kappas out of a Kappas would you give it?
What, Tinder or the Tinder date?
Both. Let's do both.
Tinder is 10 out of 10 Kappas. The Tinder date was probably 3 or 4 Kappas.
Okay.
3 or 4 Kappas.
It was not.
No,
it was not very Kappa.
It was not very Kappa at all.
I experienced a situation where there were pictures on, like, because everyone has a profile and such, and so there was quite a difference between what was the pictured and IRL, which is one of the problems with Tinder. Is that you're not guaranteed to get what you see, but well, I basically it was better than what I was doing at the moment. Like I don't regret going on the Tinder date. It was just like didn't pan out. But I suppose that can be said for a lot of dates or Legend clients with Hearthstone. Like sometimes you just have to keep a crazy deck in and YOLO it trying to get up the ladder.
Yeah.
Even if it does look ugly, the deck.
Even if it does look ugly and you queue into the direct counter and you're just like,
the direct counter.
So did you, I didn't want to really bring this up, but since we're talking about dating, did you guys know that they made a Hearthstone dating show?
No.
It is the most cringe thing I've
ever seen. It's got to be awkward as hell.
Oh my God. Someone posted it in my Twitch chat this last week and was like, oh my God, they made this. It was Monarch of War, actually. And he was like, oh my God, they made this. I can't believe they made this. And then my entire chat went over and everyone was like, you can't watch it. It's so cringe. It's so bad. It's literally like if you were to like play on like an MTV or like a VH1 dating show kind of thing, but where the date is them playing Hearthstone and it's like a blind date thing. It is so cringe. It was so bad. And the best part about it, I think, was the fact that all these, maybe not all the females, but the vast majority of the females were just people who didn't really play Hearthstone, and all the males were like extremely nerdy Hearthstone players. I don't suggest watching it, but it was definitely worth the 5 seconds where I just was like, and I like had to like turn it off immediately. It was so funny. But apparently they're turning it into a show on Twitch and they're going to broadcast it like weekly now. Or maybe not weekly, but regularly.
Dude, some people will like to watch cringeworthy shit.
Some people do. That's true.
But I don't think that was their intention. I think their intention was to actually make like a real TV show and like make it like some sort of like dramedy, you know, like, but it is just so cringe. It's so bad.
All of the cringe. Is this where Trump finally smangs?
Yeah. Yep. That's where it happens.
Trump. I saw a picture of Mars the other day and holy fuck, that dude got fat.
Has he really?
Like, hang on. Let me just find that picture. Hang on.
We're on
I feel like we're talking about like Hearthstone TMZ here or something.
Basically it is. Wait, were you on Tinder? Is that where you found the picture?
Yeah. I was on Tinder.
Looking
It's
up
just
Hearthstone
like-
players.
It's just it was such a function of the job, though.
Oh
Hang
my
on,
God.
guys. Sorry, I don't want to like make a bunch of audible clicks. That's something that I really hate making. All right, everyone, I'll post in the chat actually, so everyone can get
A
on.
picture of Skamaz.
Or just Mars in general. Like, dude, this guy, he's not. He used to be a skinny lad before, even when he was streaming. I think the stress of running a team and an organization is really getting to the guy. Like, look at him. Hang on, we'll find the.
He uses tinted glasses. Good call. At least he's doing that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't see it.
What?
I don't see
don't
it.
see
Yeah, it looks
fat.
like he's gained some weight.
I guess maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
So I was thinking about doing on my stream a like a workout night, because I was like, we even talked about this the other day, Mushu. You were like, people who stream gain weight, and I was like, maybe it'd be interesting to try and like do a night where like I'm trying to get myself skinnier, I guess. I don't know.
But you are a skinny motherfucker by trade, though. That's the difference.
I'm
I
not
suppose-
though.
Yeah, because he's 6'3". I mean 6'2". I mean 6'1". Every night it changes. So for those of you listening at home, not part of the stream,
6'1".
apparently he's 6'1". Last week he said he was 6'3", and then before we started recording, he was
joking when we talked
6'2".
about it. Jeez.
So what's gonna happen next
also
week?
said I was a Gemini. I honestly don't even know what I am, because we were talking about dating last week too. We were talking. I don't even remember what the conversation was exactly, but I was like, my name is Bradford Lee. I'm a 6'3" Gemini
name's
from America. That was the joke. Dang it. Because I wear high heels some days, guys. I wear high heels and it makes me 6'3". But then there's other days when I'm not wearing high heels and I'm like 6'1".
Okay. I don't buy it, but that's all right.
Okay. Well, fine. I won't wear high heels around you.
Okay, fine.
Fair
That's
enough.
fine. That's fine. Don't say it. I didn't tell you not to do it. That's all I'm saying. Don't put the blame on me. All right.
TLDR.
Yes.
When I come back from laser tag, depending on how many pleb coins I have left, I may or may not be buying a stand. I'll be getting a stand up, sit stand desk. So I think that's the best way, particularly for something like Hearthstone. Is the best way to do it, because you don't necessarily need to have precise aim unless you're a sniper Ragnaros. You need to.
That's right.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, and I think, and then I'll trend the hashtag stand up and stream. Or
Yeah,
stand
there
up
you go.
and stream.
There you go. DRC confirmed. You heard it here.
So I need to get a standing desk. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like $300 from IKEA, or you can get like an adjustment that'll make it taller. Like
Like
my
blocks
housemate
of
was
wood.
looking.
And put them on top
you
of my
can
desk.
Cinder
squeak it.
blocks.
Yeah, that's like the full on ghetto way to do it. But no, it's a serious thing. If you're going to stream for a living, you got to make sure that you are getting that proper exercise. Otherwise, you will die.
Yeah, it's 100% true. I know that my exercise numbers, or my not my exercise numbers, my amount of exercising that I do has gone down since I've started streaming.
Yeah, because you're spending like so much computer time. And as you say, you just need to break it up. Because you look at someone like Applejack, who's a fucking juggernaut who does exercise before he gets on stream. And Skamaz. I think Amaz is more like the amount of food he just eats. It's very easy to just eat food and stream, particularly when you're that popular.
Those Doritos.
I don't know.
Yeah.
His gluttony has set in.
Hashtag Skamaz doing Skamaz things.
Yes.
What about
Yeah,
you, Mike? Another busy week.
Another busy week at work. However, I do have a funny story. I thought it was kind of funny. So Brad, we kind of talked about it last week. Brad went out to Washington. So I'm like, I'm going to overnight him a shirt. T-shirt.
yeah.
So
That's right.
he gives me the address. I'm like, all right, great. So it was a little confusing because I'm not going to give the address, obviously, but the street, it looked like it was I, but I couldn't tell if it was I or one. So I asked Brad, I said, is it an I or one? He told me it was I. So I wrote it down on a piece of paper and gave it to my wife. So when I was out at work, when I'm out at work, we have a post office on campus at the school that we live at. So she was just going to drop by and ship it off overnight. Well, so it ends up going to the wrong street, like 2 miles away, to who knows who. So some guy out there in Washington, you're welcome. You're welcome for the overnight shirt. Hope you represent the Death Rattle crew.
I bet you they'll find us online too, and they'll be like,
Right.
"What in the
What
world
the
is
hell?
this?" Oh, okay, I'll check them out.
Yeah. Or they
It's a
play
new marketing scheme.
Yeah, right. Watch him be like a big magic guy and like, screw Hearthstone. I ain't got time for that jazz.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
No, hopefully maybe he'll go to like some hipster coffee shop or something and be like, bro, what's Death Rattle Crew, man? That's where we'll start.
Man, who's Blizzard, man?
Exactly.
Well, the funny part about that, Mike, is I ended up not staying at that place that you were going to send it to, because the person that I was, so my friend was supposed to give me a place to stay, and that was the place that Mike was intending to send that T-shirt to. And the day that we were going to leave, like 2 hours before we were going to leave, he goes, "Hey, I found out that I had the date wrong for when this tournament that he was supposed to go to was."
Oh.
And so he's like, "I'm not going anymore." And I'm just like, oh my God. So it was an absolute nightmare. Luckily, I had another friend going with me, so I ended up staying at his place instead.
That's nice.
So I had a fallback plan, but like it was pretty funny because you send me that message and I'm like, man, now I'm gonna have to go travel, like 25 minutes to go find that T-shirt.
Right.
And then I ended up not being able to. I ended up trying to go to that place, that house, and they didn't have anything.
Yeah.
So that kind of sucks.
Well,
but I ended up having to travel an extra like 25 minutes on top of it to go find it, and then I didn't even find it. It was super disappointing, but it's all right.
I just was picturing a funny story where it's like you show up to the house, knock on the door, some guy answers the door with the shirt on. He's like, "Hey, did you get a Death Rattle Crew T-shirt in the mail addressed to me?" And he's like, "No, bro.
Nope.
No, I got the wrong place." Thanks.
Yeah, he said he didn't get anything when I got there, and he was like, I was just like, all right, thanks.
Yeah. Oh well.
Anything.
Rip. Whatever. It is what it is.
Hashtag investments.
So
on the plus side,
yeah, Death Rattle Crew is trending in Washington State.
One person stronger.
Yeah, DRC confirmed. Yeah, so that's that. Let's just go ahead and take a break, and we'll be right back with Meta Anatomy. DRC would like to thank Brainiacs for their support of this podcast. If you have a tech idea for improving your business's workflow, Brainiacs can provide a turnkey solution to specifically fit your needs. You can contact them at www.brainiux.com.
Meta Anatomy.
That was beautiful, Matt.
Thank you.
All right.
Is that how we're opening?
I think so, yeah. And welcome back. This is Meta Anatomy, your one weekly stop for everything Meta and Hearthstone. I'm Tech2, joined by Mushu, Bradford Lee. Boys, we're going to talk about tournaments and ladder. What do we want to start with?
TLDR, the Cursed Trials were over the weekend, and Tice won.
Yay! Get him.
What did we learn from that tournament? Like nothing.
Shit is stacked, yo. That there are some very. We learned that if we proceeded to standard right now, there are some very stacked classes, and that we need the balance changes, and a new set even to throw some new things into the mix to make it less solved. Yeah. That's basically what we learned. It's basically shit. A lot of people were running the same decks. Like it was even more streamlined. Well, on par with how streamlined I guess the meta is at the moment. It's sort of like it was solved very quickly. I mean, most people were running the mid-range druid just because it's mid-range druid and it's just fucked up.
It's so good still. Yeah.
Yeah, you just chuck in the savage combatant and it's just like, well, GG. A lot of people running aggro shaman.
Oh, really? Okay. That makes sense. It didn't really lose anything.
Exactly. You look at the aggro shaman build and it just did not lose anything. It's like, well. And it begs the question.
Crackle, basically.
Yeah, but Crackle's one of those really unstable cards anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, do I roll a 3 and lose the game, or do I roll a 6 and win the game 6 turns earlier? I mean, you decide, RNG. You decide. But, Tice was pretty on fire with on point in the grand final series. He just, it was right place, right time sort of thing, which is how it goes sometimes. You just shit on people. That happens. But
it didn't happen last week for him in the prelims, though. Womp, womp, womp.
Rip.
Man, you were so fucking salty, aren't you, about your prelim experience? I can hear it.
No, I'm actually not salty at all. I actually enjoyed the prelims for the most part. Minus losing,
Yeah, I was going to say, minus this double limb.
I'll tell you what I am salty about it, though, is if y'all didn't know this is actually one of the things I wanted to discuss, and Mushu brought it up right before the podcast started. You get BlizzCon points for doing well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty
the whole purpose of it. Yeah, totally screwed up. Like the whole purpose of the BlizzCon points was to be able to like basically give everybody the opportunity to gain it, BlizzCon points. But you can't, unless if you queued for that tournament, you can't gain the BlizzCon points. So it just gives an unfair advantage to the people that already queued for the winner for the spring.
I suppose in the sense that like you are winning the season effectively to only be paid money, and for that to mean nothing but the money, and most of the money's in the top spot, kind of is a bit like lame, because I can definitely see where they're coming from. You probably should be rewarded, but just first off the cuff, like reaction is like, what the fuck? The rich get richer? But I suppose that's probably how it should be.
I mean, I understand it from like, they're trying to promote, it's a promotional tour, like they're trying to promote and create. It's just like how they were talking about like, oh, well, I can't believe none of the pro players made it to the top 8. It's like, well, of course not. There's, 8 players, maybe 10 known, well, maybe like 15 known players out of a field of 100 and some odd. Of course, not many of them are going to make it, but they're still going to advertise those people. And now they've got new people to advertise. So they want to keep those people around because, it's just a figurehead. They want that figurehead. They want the story. They want the drama. They want to be able to create that, I don't know, the feeling of someone to cheer for in a sense.
Yeah, and we talked about it last week that with the pros just don't have as much of an edge over the current field because the meta's so fucking solved.
It is.
We need a meta.
A completely known meta.
Yeah, well, that's a good segue. Let's hit it. What do you guys feel
about the meta?
It's been the same for like the past three weeks. Ever since we were teased about the expansion, it's just like, thank fucking God, something might change, because we're at the point now where I don't know. It's like very little innovation seems possible in that the Secret Paladin is still pretty good. Seen a bit of Priest, pretty good. Everything seems pretty good. Nothing is like there's no clear top deck.
Which is good for a meta, though.
Yeah,
if there isn't a clear top deck, I mean, we know that like we know the tier 1 decks. There's like 2 or 3 of them, right?
Yeah,
but like there's no standout.
Yeah, like mid-range druid is definitely like one of the best, if not the best deck. But it still gets run over by Secret Paladin a good percentage of the time, just by function of it being a tempo-based deck. If you can maintain that tempo, oh my God, I'm so fucking done with Minibot and Muster. I'm just so done. It's just like, can you fuck off already? It's just, I don't know. Like, I feel like we just got teased a bunch, and like now all the winter prelims are over. I think, well, the last one, I think there's still the Australia, New Zealand ones this weekend, and then I assume the big Asian one is the first week of March. So I would think the week after, so the middle of March is when we should get the expansion release, when all these first rotation tournaments, mid-spring season, whatever it is, winter season, whatever the season is right now, finish up. Spring?
Yeah.
Fucking Americans.
I feel like that's too far away. I want it now. I mean, you're right. It felt like we were being spoiled a little bit, or teased, rather.
Well, the spoiling might happen soon in the announcement of it all. Like, you would think, I don't know, it has to be soon, because like the season's basically over in the sense that this is the end of the spring season. We should know, and it's just you've had all your fuck around things like cursed trials. The NA winter prelims are now over. When is the follow up for it? It's like March, isn't it? Yeah, March. So it's going to be the end of March, actually. So the America's Winter Championship is March 11th to 13th. So after that, so probably like the last week of March, man, this is going to be a painful, painful deck grind for the next 3 weeks, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to come out right before the winter prelim. I mean, winter finals. Because like that's a good way to introduce.
That's next week. That's next week. Just so you know.
I know. I'm just saying, like that would be a great time for it to come out. But we don't know. We don't. I mean, I don't think it will.
They're not going to do another spontaneous release like League of Explorers. Here, have 150 cards. They're not going to. I don't think they're going to.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Not with the big set.
So much like limp dick publicity. It's like, man, you're releasing all this new crap. You could spoil card by card and get the hype going, or you could just go. And if you go go, it's just like, I feel like it's a missed opportunity. That's just me, though. Blizzard might think otherwise.
I like the adventure mode being spoiled like a week or two before because it's all. I mean, it's split up to begin with, but I think you're right. Like
it takes multiple
pack
weeks for it to come out.
Yeah, do like a card, like I don't know, handful of cards every week until drop day. But
League of Explorers didn't have that hell catchy song like Black Rock Mountain, a Hearthstone adventure.
You said League of Explorers. You keep singing it that way. I mean, you're right.
The best thing about the Black Rock expansion was definitely the song. Let's be honest.
Okay, I'll buy that.
What was the song?
Black Rock Mountain, a Hearthstone adventure.
But he was singing a League of Explorers, a Hearthstone adventure.
It seems to work.
It's catchy.
Yeah, no,
like it's catchy.
It's seamless. It just works. It's just one of those things that just works.
How do you feel about goblins and gnomes? You didn't like that one?
Goblins and gnomes. Yeah, I liked it because it's like this crazy kind of jingle.
Yeah.
Shit. But Black Rock Mountain was definitely my favorite thus far.
So getting back to meta discussion real quick.
Yeah.
What do you guys
just real quick?
What do you guys think? So we talked about laddering a little bit and like what the best decks are. There's no clear best deck necessarily, but what do you think is the best deck to actually ladder with? Because I've been trying to ponder through this for this week, basically. Get myself ready for the end of the season.
Well, I have today and tomorrow and some of the day after to get to Legend. I had like a 70% win rate earlier in the week with Freeze Mage. I was just crushing, queuing into shit. But then I hit a fucking wall where I was just getting like cheesed and it wasn't working well. So Freeze Mage is definitely up there. Yeah, no, dude, it's legitimately the same. It's like Freeze Mage, Druid, Paladin, Zoo, and then didn't you make Legend with Aggro Shaman or something?
I played Aggro Shaman, Tempo Mage, and a little bit of Control Warrior to get to Legend this season. But I ended up my like last games were Tempo Mage just because I was seeing a lot of Druid everywhere, and I just decided Tempo Mage was a good option. So I made that.
Did you have a Flame Strike in your Tempo Mage?
No. Hell no. I actually think Flame Strike's terrible in Tempo Mage. Like, it's not garbage. Like, there's going to be circumstances where the results are going to show that you wanted Flame Strike at that moment. And you're going to be like, wow, the only card that saves me now is Flame Strike. And you're like, oh, thank God I had this Flame Strike. But, like, it's a 7-mana card that does no progression for the tempo standpoint. Like, I mean, granted, if you get the Flame Strike to go off and you have a board presence, it's really good. But, like, it's a tempo deck. Like, it's a tempo deck. It wants cheap, efficient cards, and it wants to be able to use its cards efficiently and as many cards as possible to maintain board position. And by the end of the game, it wants to have 0 cards in hand and its opponent be dead. Like, that's the game plan. Always use all of your spells to get to the end result. You don't want to be like, I'm going to build towards this Flame Strike, and then you Flame Strike, and you're like, okay, what do I have left? And it's like, I still have a bunch of, like, arcane missiles and all these other crap that doesn't really do anything for me now because I have no board presence. It's just like, you want the cheap efficiency. I think Flame Strike can be played in the deck, but I think it's not a good choice. And I really feel passionate about that. Feel very strongly that I don't think Flame Strike's good in that deck. So
yeah, I definitely understand that point about like, yeah, it's such a net tempo loss in the sense you're not building anything.
Yeah. And what if they have like a Nerubian egg on the board? Then you're just like, okay, spend my entire turn to Flame Strike. Crap. they've still got a 4-4. You know, like there's so many, like, you can't be results oriented. We've talked about this before. You can't be results oriented. You can't be like, oh, the Flame Strike was so good this game, I'm going to totally keep it in my deck. It's like, look, if we look at the deck from like a conceptual standpoint, it's still a tempo deck and it wants to top out at 7. Like, and when it tops out at 7, it better be Dr. Boom or it better be Tony. Yeah. It better be Archmage Antonitis slamming on the board. You know, like it needs to be a big presence and it needs to be able to compete with what your opponent's doing, or at least compete enough with like the boom bots that if you get lucky with the boom bot and one hits him in the face, you can finish him off with a fireball because you've now lost the tempo. And you're like, okay, now my game plan is to burn my opponent out, finish them with what I have left as resources. You know, it's just Flame Strike doesn't do that for you. If Flame Strike clears the board, if you're already ahead, it's like a win more card. It's like, I'm already ahead in this game. Now Flame Strike's insanely powerful because it guarantees I win the game. It's like if you're behind in that matchup and you go Flame Strike and then pass a turn, they just go, okay, here's some more crap on the board. You're now still behind on tempo. It just doesn't do anything for you. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, I agree. Wait, so how do I make Legend this season, Bradley?
I'll tell you how you make Legend this season. As you said, the meta is so freaking defined. It is known. Everybody knows everything going into the meta. Well, not everybody, but like you should, if you've been playing Hearthstone since League of Explorers, you should have a very comfortable feeling about what is good in the meta. Like Secret Paladin, Zoo, mid-range Druid, sometimes Freeze Mage is good. I actually don't think Freeze Mage is good right now because I've actually seen like I was watching VLPS stream last night and he was playing Control Warrior. I've been playing a Control Warrior a lot. Fibonacci did really well with the Control Warrior list at the Hearthstone preliminaries, which we actually can go through all the people who won the Hearthstone prelims. We can talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, I don't actually know who won because I didn't follow. NA shit is so hard to follow from Australia because it's like, man, I could stay up until 4 a.m. in the morning, and sometimes when you get up early, it's still on. So that's when I can follow. But other than that, as soon as I found out you were out, I was like, no, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, like I'm going to bed.
I was pretty done. As soon as you got knocked out, I was like, yeah, no, fuck everything.
Fair enough.
So how do we go?
But
what's the?
Hold on, we'll talk about that in 1 second. Let me quickly finish what my point here.
Yeah.
Okay.
You go.
I have it actually up here. I can send you out the link here in a minute. But anyway, the decks that I would be playing on ladder right now are, if you want to play a fun deck that's going to do pretty well, there's a Control Warrior list. Fibonacci's list is a good option. It's kind of the list that I've been running for the last like month or so, and it's kind of gained in popularity. And because of the fact that there's been more Control Warrior, I've been moving back to running Elise over like Death Lords, which I think Fibonacci ran Death Lords because he was expecting a heavy aggro meta at the winter prelims, which is what I expected. And I actually ran two Death Lords in my Control Warrior list for that particular tournament as well, because of the tournament specifically. But getting to the point was that I think the best deck to play on ladder right now is Zoo. And the reason is because higher you get up on the ladder, the more you're going to see Druid, because Druid is in my opinion the best deck for ladder, period. Like, just like if we were talking about like conceptually over the last 3 months, what has been the best deck to play to get to the top of Legend, and to get to Legend, it's probably mid-range or combo Druid or like taunt Druid, you know, like just a Druid variant, because it has Innervate and it wins 10% of its games because of Innervate. You know, it just gets those explosive starts and can just win games because of that. And on top of that, it doesn't have a lot of bad matchups. However, one of its really bad matchups is Zoo. And Zoo is a fantastic deck because it can play both the aggro role, in that it can just start doming its opponent for a hard hit, like for a bunch of damage with Power Overwhelming, Abusive Sergeant, or it can play the control role of trading, you know, like it can play Abusive Sergeant down on the board onto its 1/1 and trading up, you know, and building a board presence while also playing a control on the board. So it plays like an aggro control deck. It can play the aggro role, it can play the control role, which is really, really powerful for the ability to like switch on a dime, you know, like switch from being the aggro to the control depending on the matchup. And so that gives it a lot of flexibility in multiple matchups. On top of that, having the good Druid matchup, it's going to get a number of, maybe not free wins, but very high percentage chance of winning. It's going to have a very high chance against certain matchups. Now, that being said, the deck that I think is the best, because I think Zoo's very well positioned. I think that you're also going to see a lot of Zoo in Legend and on ladder as well. And so that being said, I think actually the best list to be playing of Zoo is a Hobgoblin Zoo list right now.
Really?
Puts me a little bit on the limb there, but the reason I think that is, and there's this guy Emmanuel Sutter, who's he's a Magic pro, and he and I talk every once in a while, and he feels confident that the Hobgoblin Zoo deck is just generally better as a counter to Zoo because it has access to more resilient threats in the mirror. So it has like Argent Squire, plus you can pump the Argent Squire, so you keep the 1/1 around. So it kind of polarizes your good and bad matchups generally. So since it polarizes your good and bad matchups, you're going to lose the bad matchups so much harder. But your good matchups, you're going to win so much more. And the good matchups that are on the ladder are dominant for the Zoo deck. On top of that, people are switching to playing more Zoo because of that too. And so you're able to actually beat the mirror more effectively, which is the biggest factor, in my opinion, to play the Hobgoblin build. Because you put yourself in a position where you have the edge in the mirror, basically. Now, granted, that's not entirely true, since some people are on like the Leroy plus what is that? Oh, I can't think of the name of it. Enhanto Meccano. The Enhanto Meccano build that did relatively well. It was a Chinese build that did really well at the North American prelims that people were playing. It's basically like an Enhanto Meccano build. And in that circumstance, they can get a lot of good value if they say they get like Divine Shield or they get a Whirlwind and then they're able to power overwhelming something and hit you for like 15 and just finish the game. They have that burst potential, but you have to also keep in mind that in the Zoo mirror matches, when Enhanto's good, it's generally because you're already so far behind on the board that you're not going to be able to catch back up because they've already got 3 or 4 things on the board, or they got a really good implosion and you couldn't clear the board and they go Enhanto and they just get a massive board state because of it. In those circumstances, you're probably not winning the board or the game or the board anyways. And so for that reason, I don't think it really gives them that much of an edge in the matchup, but it can seal a game that you may have had a chance to get back into with like an implosion, with like a knife juggle, like good knife juggle, good implosion, something like that can sometimes get you back in the game when you're behind in the mirror. But that's why I think Hobgoblin is just so much more of a well-situated Zoo deck on the ladder right now than any other. And I'm honestly, I haven't played it much on the ladder. I've been playing a lot of combo druid, and I've been playing some priest because I decided I might as well try and get good at priest before it, disappears the current build just because it seemed like fun. I know, right? Kind of sad. And I played a couple other little decks just to mess around with them. Playing some aggro druid, but that's kind of an inconsistent deck. It has some consistency issues. But yeah, I'm like soundly in the camp that I would like to be playing a Hobgoblin Zoo deck to get myself to top 100 now. Like, I think it's very well situated at this given moment in the meta.
You get fucking shat on by freeze moves though, and control. I think I'd argue you get pretty shat on by controller as well. I think I'd say you lose pretty hard to a brawl.
You do lose pretty hard to a brawl.
Yeah.
You do. But I don't think that those numbers, and just like you said, you get shat on by your bad matchups. Your bad matchups are even worse than they were otherwise. But I don't think that those numbers are good enough to warrant not playing it. Like, I would rather be polarizing my matchups. I'd rather be making my bad matchups so bad right now and my good matchups so much better. Maybe not so much better, but making my good matchups better, making my bad matchups better or worse, because the bad matchups that I'm seeing are so much less than the good matchups that I'm seeing for the most part. Like, I mean, that may not be true for everybody. Some people might run into like 6 priests in a row and then a control warrior and they're like, duh, and then run into like 2 freeze mages and are just like, this is stupid. Why did Brad suggest this? But it's like, obviously anybody could run into that string of bad matchups, and not be happy with their circumstance because of it. But I think if you were to look at the data and say, what are people playing for the most part? And if you say, okay, well, most people are playing, like Zoo, mid-range druid, like Secret In, those kind of decks. If those are the decks that people are generally playing, and especially in Legend, that's what I'm seeing. And I think those are the decks that people are climbing the most with. So that's why they want to keep doing that, because it helps, because people are winning with those decks. On top of that, at the winter prelims, those were the decks that you saw the most of. So that For that reason, I think that the amount of bad matchups you see is much less than the amount of good matchups. And so I just would rather polarize my good matchups and try and just spike those wins as much as possible. And I think that's going to increase your win percentage for the most part. And that's why I'm pretty sound on playing Hobgoblin for right now. It's a little bit off the deep end, but I think it's right.
I like that.
How does it fare against Secret Paladin, do you think?
I think it's a little bit favored against Secret Demon. It can create a better board presence than the other zoo builds, other zoo variants. And it's an aggro zoo build, the one that I'm going to be running. It's like an aggro zoo Hobgoblin build, which kind of tops out at 4. Really, it's got like Gormok, and then you could run like a Lotheb or like a
Sea Giants in it.
Yeah, it would have Sea Giants as the other top end. Now, I don't really count that as more than a 4-drop because you're not really generally casting it for more than 4. Okay. But yeah, you'd have like Sea Giants and then like maybe a Lotheb if you feel like the Lotheb is going to be warranted because Lotheb's a really powerful effect. Other than that, it's just basically a slew of 1, 2s, and 3s, and then some Hobgoblins and thrown in there, and a Gormok, because that's one of the better Gormok decks. So yeah, I don't know. It seems really
tiny
good.
fins, dude. It's so cancerous when you get like some games. Yeah, some games you just win if you have the coin on 2 and you have like 2 0 mana wisps and shit in your hand. It's just like cancerous as fuck. There's not enough board removal. Like short of queuing into a Warlock, and most of the Warlocks, as you said at the moment, are zoo. Mm-hmm. So you're queuing into that, and you just build free tempo because 0 cards don't cost anything apparently.
Yeah, they call
0 mana cards are free.
Supposedly,
I'm actually not even going to be running any the 0 cost, the Wisp or the Murloc Tiny Fins or the Reliquary Seekers. I'm actually just going to be on like let me think about this real quick. Argent Squires. Let me actually pull my list. There'd be like Argent Squires. There would be Haunted Creepers, the Echoing Oozes, obviously, because they're the best with the Hobgoblin. Hobgoblins, Knife Jugglers, Implosions. Abusive Sergeants. I gotta pull up the list to actually like see where I'm at here. Oh, I don't have it actually saved right now. Oh, there it is. Give me a second. So it'd be like Abusive Sergeant, Argent Squire, Void Walkers, Flame Imps, Dark Peddlers, Echoing Ooze, Dire Wolf Alphas, Haunted Creepers, Knife Jugglers, Hobgoblin, Imp Gang Bosses, Implosion, Defender of Argus, Gormok, Lotheb, and then Sea Giants. So I'm not even running the free like broken Hobgoblin. I'm using Hobgoblin more to create a slight amount of value, and then other than that, it's kind of like an aggro zoo build. No power overwhelming. Keep that in mind. Cutting the power overwhelming, kind of crazy. But I think the list's really good. Yeah, that's Manu for the most part. That's Manu's list. And I really agree with him. I think it's really, really well positioned right now.
Awesome.
What dragon deck were you running? Or I'm sorry, priest deck. Was it a dragon priest? Kind of.
No, it was.
Was it a control?
Yeah, it was like a control list with no burst. It was like literally no burst. It's got 1 zombie chow plus Arcana Soul Priest potentially if you get to that point. It's let me see if I can pull that up real quick. It's just basically I was playing it because I wanted to test it for tournaments less than I really wanted to play it on ladder. Because I was considering playing in some tournaments. I actually played it in Tuesday Night Hype last night and did really well with it. Ended up losing the round of 32 with it though, and I just don't feel comfortable enough with the deck to feel like I'm confident in saying I can win a tournament with it yet. But that's why I was just testing it because I wanted to see if I could get confident with it.
Okay.
But basically, it's like just a control list with like the tops out at like Dr. Boom, and it's got like its typical more controlling cards like Sylvanas, and then Harrison Jones, and then its actual win condition is like at least Starseekering people. And other than that, it's got 1 Entomb just to kind of, and 2 Death Lords to help in the fatigue circumstances. But other than that, just a bunch of control. Bunch of light bombs.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I have not had a lot of success with it on ladder, sadly. Okay. I mean, it seems like it's going about 50-50 on ladder, but I really enjoy the deck. So really fun.
Good times.
All right. Well, any other? Go ahead.
the young Fibonacci won the winter prelims, as you said.
Yes. There were 7 other people that made it on prelims.
7, really?
7 other. There were 8 total that won prelims. So like the way that prelims work was the top 8 queue for the winter championships.
Yeah. So we played like 3 weeks later.
Yeah.
For more money and prizes and fame and glory, Young Bedford.
All of those things. The biggest thing I think from the tournament was a guy named Chess Dude 123. He showed up with a really interesting lineup. He was playing Priest in his lineup, actually. Speaking of Priest, and he just kind of ran over the field. He was kind of an unknown person, and I really think that either he stumbled upon the right lineup or he had a really solid plan and just ran it over. So Fibonacci got there. Fibonacci was also on a really interesting lineup. He was playing like a control warrior. He was playing a like the old handlock style builds. And I think that had a lot to do with what he expected. I was expecting he thinks that, like Secret In, it has a solid matchup against, and then also Patron Warrior, which were decks that were like really well represented. So I assume that was his thought process. It's like, let's play a deck that beats those things. So Fibonacci did really well. We have WTY Bill made it as well. He's a grinder. I see him in tournaments all the time. So congrats to him. Chalky made it with an aggro lineup. Amnesiac made it as well. Snail made it. Talion, and then or I don't actually know if that's how you say his name. I didn't actually follow his coverage specifically. Talion. And then lastly, All Sky High. And I think All Sky High's story is kind of the most interesting. He was the guy who beat me in the tournament that I finished second in the night before prelims the winter season ended. And he had to make the final matchup to even make the winter prelims. And then he ended up top 8ing. So I think his story is really neat, and congrats to him for, like sneaking in last minute, just like I did, and being able to pull it through and make top 8. So congrats to him and all the other people who made top 8 of the winter prelims for North America.
Well, nice.
Solid. Yeah, dude. Fibonacci, once upon a time, as we all know, was just that guy who climbed to top of the ladder with only control warrior, and that's all he played. But now it's sort of like he got better because he's really good at control warrior and freeze mage. And I think those 2 decks are only going to be. It's really going to depend how the Mad Scientist thing pans out. Without having Mad Scientist, because people did play freeze mage before Mad Scientist, it obviously got a lot better. Right. When there was freeze. But I think it's still pretty viable. I don't know. It just might not be as solid. You might just get run over sometimes. I don't know. It's gonna be strange, but I'm definitely keen to try Fibonacci's Malagos freeze mage though. That seems that might be what I've been looking for. A little more draw with a little more firepower. It's just like, because you can legitimately just win if you get. It looks like you can just win if you get the Frostbolt Ice Lance off with Malagos, because it's like,
yeah, it's 25, I think.
Yeah, something dumb like that. That's fucked up. Because so if you get everything in there, or even if Malagos is 9 plus 4 mana, so if you lose the 4 mana off the whole total cost with the fluorescence, so Frostbolt becomes 1. Yes, basically it just seems like you can blow people up, and it's got more draw power than the version I have, so it just looks like shit's gonna get real. So that's my plan, I think, after this. And then if that doesnn't work, I'll play Hobgoblin / Aggro Shaman.
So my thought about the Malagos deck, I think he specifically chose that deck for 2 reasons. I don't think he was on a ban warrior plan with his lineup. I think he was on like a ban druid, or he might have been on like a ban rogue plan potentially. But I think his lineup was designed to not ban warrior, and that particular build that he was playing has a pretty solid patron lineup or matchup, as well as having the ability to win the control warrior matchup because of Malagos. So I think the reason that he was playing that specific deck was less because it was necessarily the best ladder build, and more because I think his lineup's plan was designed with the intention of utilizing the Malagos so he didn't have to ban warrior, with his, because like most people when they play freeze mage in tournaments, they'll ban warrior, and a lot of times that means they're also playing rogue. So when I see my warrior get banned in a like a pick 4 heroes conquest style plus a ban tournament lineup, in that circumstance, when I see freeze mage and oil rogue coming in, or maybe just if I see mage and rogue and then my warrior get banned, I just immediately assume they're on freeze mage and oil rogue. That assumption is pretty easy to make at that point. And so I think his game plan was, how do I beat the warrior even though I'm not going to be able to ban it because I'm going to be banned on like a ban druid plan or a ban, like paladin plan or whatever his ban plan was. But I'm pretty sure his ban plan wasn't to ban warrior based on his lineup, because he had decks that were really relatively well situated against patron warrior, like his more handlock build of warlock kind of really does well against that particular thing, as well. He was on control warrior, which is just fantastic against patron warrior, and that's the warrior deck that was expected to be played a lot at the winter prelims last week, and was heavily represented. I for instance, I didn't ban warrior, and I played against it twice. So like it played against patron warrior twice, and I just think that deck was maybe not like massively represented, but it was represented enough when people were playing warrior that you could be on a plan of, okay, don't ban warrior because the amount of control warriors that I'm going to see is much less than the patron warriors that I'm going to see. So I don't know. That's kind of my opinion on it. I personally would not want to play the Malygos Freeze Mage on ladder. I don't think it's a bad deck by any means, but I think if you want like a ladder deck that's going to be more consistent, I wouldn't be playing that Mushu. I don't know. Give it a shot though. It's fun.
Screw you, Brad.
Okay. I mean, you gotta play what you want. Like you gotta play the decks that you like to play for sure. Otherwise, what the hell are you doing? If you're not having fun,
what the hell am I doing? Yeah.
Yeah. If you're not having fun, it's not worth it.
Magnus wants to know about rogue decks. Is Trade Prince Galliwix ever going to be a thing?
Oh,
yes.
Trude Prance.
That's it. Just yes.
Wait, wasn't Galliwix Goblins and Gnomes, or was he base set?
He was not base. Yeah. Oh, he's gone.
He rotates out.
Rip.
Fucking rip.
Magnus Bare Legs. He's gone, bro. Rip.
I'm pretty sure he's
Galliwix,
he's from that side.
like.
Yeah. GPG.
Didn't we have a email that we wanted to read as well? Or
Yeah. Well, it was more of a personal comment. Tommy Funbags wanted to know about. I was asking about legendary spells in class decks. First card I could think of was Matt immediately says no, and that's what he said earlier when we were talking about it. First card that came up in mind was Pyroblast. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It's like a 1-of.
Didn't Pyroblast used to be an 8 mana spell?
Pyroblast and Mind Control used to be 8 mana, so you could 2 cards, 13 damage. So I think put it this way, if Pyroblast and Mind Control weren't legendary spells, I don't think you can tangibly put more power into a spell than those two.
Right.
And have it be balanced. Because a legendary spell is 10 mana, isn't it? That's what we think when we think a legendary spell. Some ridiculous spell. I don't think it would, like, obviously if Hearthstone University runs out of ideas, then maybe, but I just don't see it in the current landscape of things. I don't see legendary spells being a thing, because it would have to be so swingy, so like ridiculously good that I think it would be borderline overpowered.
Which I feel like would be when those cards were 8 mana and everyone ran one of them anyway. Like you ran one Pyroblast, or Priest ran one Mind Control.
You got to remember, like when they were 8 mana, things were in the game that no one knew about. Like the Druid combo was in the game. Miracle Rogue was a thing. The fucking combo Warrior was a thing that no one played. Like back when it was 8 mana, that was like beta. That when I started playing, those two things were 8 mana, and there were decks that people hadn't solved yet. So it was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I could see them making legendary spells specifically for the purpose of it being a singleton in a deck. Just because they're like, we don't want to design this card where people can have 2. So like an example I can think of is like if you made an Arcane Intellect that drew 3 cards instead. Like 3 mana, draw 3. You don't really want people to have 2 of that. if you're trying to create a specific deck, because it creates so much consistency for that deck. Like say it's like a Patron Warrior type of deck. You know, like Battle Rage sometimes draws 4, but sometimes it draws 1. So like there's a level of inconsistency with Battle Rage, even though I still think Battle Rage is in the original Patron Warrior list was so strong because of the fact that it could draw your entire deck so quickly. And that's why I think like, I don't know if this is a great example, but like if it was like a 3 mana draw 3 effect and it was just so powerful because drawing 3 for 3 mana is just like this bonkers good. That's so good. You get so many resources for just the low price of 3 mana. So I don't think that they would want people to be able to go 3 mana draw 3 and then find another one and be like 3 mana draw 3. I now have a full hand, even though I had nothing at the start of last turn. And I just think, and not only that, but dig through my entire deck to find whatever my combo piece is or whatever thing I need from that point on. Yeah, I don't know. I think it seems feasible to have legendary spells more for the sake of just they don't want people to be able to play 2 copies of X card, whatever X card may be.
Right. I mean, I'm trying to rack my brain of what those would be like.
Yeah, but what I mean, I feel like making a legendary spell basically means it's an auto include. From a lot of the, like, it would be that strong that it would be an auto include.
Sure.
And I think they kind of want to avoid that in the future, where you don't really have a choice around an archetype.
I guess I could agree with that because spells typically in these classes are geared specifically, obviously, towards that champion. Whereas I feel like you got legendaries that are neutral. That like, well, a perfect example. What's his name? That guy. You know that guy. Kel'Thuzad. Great card. That guy.
Yeah.
But you don't see it played terribly often. Because it's a niche. It's a very niche card that fits in a lot of decks. Where I feel like, Pyroblast keeps coming up. You know, make Pyroblast 8 mana again. People are, I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like people would only run what of anyway. If it was 8 mana again.
I think it's just a one of. I mean, at 8 mana, maybe they run 2 because you're going to be able to like cast it plus cast like with Emperor Theresin, cast it plus cast like Arcane Intellect, or cast like a Frost Nova to stop the board for a turn, so you can go like Pyroblast, Frost Nova next turn, Pyroblast, like Frost Nova again next turn, Fireball, like you just really can lock out your opponent that way. I think I could see that. I don't think you decrease the cost of Pyroblasts personally. I just think if you're going to decrease it, it's got to be 9 because of Emperor Theresin. Yeah, in my opinion.
Okay, well,
I think Emperor Theresin is just too much of a role player right now.
I wonder if more tech card would be what would be designed then. Like you were saying, draw 3 cards for the mage, draw 3 for 3. Trying to think like Shaman. What would be a good tech option?
So you're speaking like almost like a mind control tech in a sense, but like as a spell. Like if Shaman had a legendary spell that said 3 mana mind control tech effect basically, or something like that. I don't know, something along those lines. I really do think that a legendary spells would be a good thing because like here's the thing. We only have 30 deck slots in our decks, right? And so a lot of times, like for instance, my aggro druid deck, it's all 2-ofs. The only exception is I'm running 1 Lotheb and 1 Dr. Boom. And the reason I'm running 1 Lotheb and 1 Dr. Boom is because I can't run 2 Lothebs. Right. So I have to run a Dr. Boom alongside of it.
Because
or I
why
can't
not?
run 2 Dr. Booms, and so I can't run 2 Lothebs, So it's I'm priced into running those as 1-ofs. And I think that's kind of cool that if you were to create spells that are legendaries, you put the more diversity in the game, and it creates more dynamic experiences for the player. So I think it's good from a design perspective because it's creating a more dynamic play experience, as well as the fact that like it's a new mechanic. It's a way I can create a new mechanic without actually creating a new mechanic.
Right.
Like it's cool. It just adds more diversity, adds new things, new content, new cool things without having to like change the fundamental layout of the game thus far. So, I don't know. I like it.
I like it too. I think what Matt's trying to get at is that it's going to be difficult to implement something like that, or it's not like they've got to be cards that aren't auto includes. I think Matt hit the nail on the head there. If you're going to do something like that, because not every legendary in a class spot is played. Not every warrior deck plays Grommash.
Sure.
So how do you make a card like that that's not an auto include?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely one of the concerns. And as you said, I think it has to be something like a tech card. It has to be, like you were saying, like a Kel'Thuzad that only fits into like a very specific niche build, or or it has to be a 10 mana spell that is so powerful, but only like fatigue Druid once or something.
Yeah,
right. Like something weird like that. I don't know, something along those lines. Or actually, I just thought about this. It could be something where you already have 2 of that effect. So like, let's take Swipe, for instance, and you have a 4 mana, deal 4 damage to everything and 1 damage to everything else. Very powerful piece of removal. And you want to give the Druid 1 more piece of removal, but you don't want them to have 4 copies like of Swipe, basically. You could basically print another Swipe that's slightly worse that cost 4 mana. So it'd just be like deal 4 damage to target creature and 1 damage to 1 random other creature. So it's not nearly as powerful as Swipe, but there it gives you more removal. So it gives the utility of a 3rd piece of like 4 mana removal if they want.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know if that's really the way they want to go with that, but it's certainly a way to consider you creating legendaries or some legendary spells like that.
Okay.
Musha, I got a question for you.
Like what? What's your question, Brad?
You play more WoW than the both of us combined, and so you would probably know better. What spells can you think of that were in WoW that haven't currently been utilized in Hearthstone that would be potentially good ideas to create legendary? Magnus Barelegs was asking that in the chat earlier, and we were kind of curious what you thought about that. Are there any that you can think of that would be good as a legendary spell?
Well, so like the 10 mana spells are pretty like indicative of the biggest spells in WoW.
Mm-hmm.
Things that it might be 10 mana, like 10 mana legendaries, or just legendaries in general.
Let's just say in general. What do you think?
I think in general.
Yeah.
I know it kind of puts you on the spot to think through that, but
yeah, it's so there are definitely spells that are in WoW that aren't in the game yet. Like I think one of the big ones for Mage is Frost Firebolt. So it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a fire. So you could have something legendary like that where it's like I guess a fireball that does also freezes or something. But I can't see that being like a legendary application. Let's see. Dragon Breath is in the game and it's kind of crappy, isn't it? Things that are awesome. You might be able to do something like, is Last Stand, that's in the game, isn't it? No, it's not.
No.
So you could have something like that, like a Last Stand kind of thing with warriors where they gain like health for a turn or something. That could be a legendary spell. Because Last Stand is like a warrior spell where you get a shit ton of health for a little bit. You increase your health by 30%. See, Heroism Bloodlust is in the game. That's like a pretty go-to spell.
Yeah.
Time Warp for mages would probably end up being a legendary spell. You could probably make it, which is a similar effect in WoW, in that you get 33% more casting speed, which is what Heroism Bloodlust is. So I don't know, like Time Warp for mages could be a thing.
Like more mana, you think? Like a mana crystal that turn?
No, it would be something like more spell damage or something.
Okay.
Something that fits the archetype. So you could go time warp, more spell damage or something where you might only want one of. But it would I think that'd be too OP.
Well, yeah.
What if it was like Time Warp for Magic? Time Warp in Magic is take an extra turn.
Oh wow. Jeez.
It'd have to be like 10 mana or 11 mana.
Yeah. Like, save that coin,
that's an 11
boys.
mana spell right there. Yeah. Hope you have your Emperor still.
All right. So we can go down the list of classes as well. So one of the big spells that is native to Hunter at the moment that isn't in the game is a spell called Stampede, which summons like 7 or so beasts from your zoo or whatever. So you summon like 7 like boars or something, and they do a shit ton of damage. It was one of the most overpowered spells in recent WoW history. So that could definitely be a a hunter legendary in that you could like have something like if you summon 7 copies, sort of like anything happens kind of thing, in that you summon 7 beasts that have died, and that could be a thing, or it's just summon 7 beasts from your deck or something like that. That could be a legendary spell that fits in pretty well with the WoW 4. Warlock's pretty good in the sense that you have a demon form in Jiraxis, but like that's the main thing. They are taking that away. So in WoW, Warlocks have a spell called like Transformation or something, where you become like a demon, like an Illidan type figure, but that's being removed in Legion. So I don't know if they want to go in that direction, because it's like more or less being given to demon hunters. So that's a little bit of shit. So yeah, there's what else? Let's see, priests, something that a priest could do, because I play a priest in WoW, and everything you could have Cascade. Cascade would be a cool spell.
Yeah, that would be a really cool spell.
So Cascade, think Holy Nova, but it bounces. So it does it. So you could go 3, then 2, then 1, or something like that. Cascade would be a really fucking interesting spell in Hearthstone, and you definitely would probably want that to be a 1-of, because basically it's like a souped up Holy Nova. So Cascade is a spell that fires a bolt of light or shadow, depending. It changes. If you're a shadow spec priest, then it does damage. If you're a healing spec priest, it heals. But when it was first put in the game, it did both for both classes. So it did damage and heal at the same time. So it would bounce from creature to creature and split each time. So it does 1 bounces, then it splits into 2. Then the 2 bounce and split into 2 more. So you end up with 4 and shit like that. So you could do something like that where it bounces off characters on the board, sort of like Bouncing Blade meets Holy Nova kind of thing.
I thought you meant like at first, like it does 3 damage to everything, then it does 2 damage to everything, then it does 1 damage, which would be interesting as well.
Yeah, that would too.
Yeah, that would probably end up being sort of like what would happen, but it would have to be random to be balanced, I would think. Or you could definitely make a legendary spell out of that or something.
That would be really good.
That actually seems like the most reasonable legendary spell that we've thought of so far. Like that seems like something that I would not want my opponent to have 2 of, because it's a very, very powerful board clear effect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think Prayer of Mending Bare Legs it's not something that you could probably be legendary. Penance is weird, because it's another one of those things where it hits multiple times. Like Cascade, Penance, and even Prayer of Mending hits multiple times. Prayer of Mending would be interesting, but I think it would be like a really limp deck effect, because Prayer of Mending works on the fact that when you get hit, you get healed, and then it will jump to another target. So you have the Prayer of Mending, you get hit, you get healed, and then it will jump to someone else. So you could have it bouncing around on the minions, but I think it'd be kind of clunky. I don't know, basically like a moving buff is what it would end up being, which would be kind of cool, and you can definitely do it. Let's see, what else we got? What are the classes in the game? We've got a druid.
Yeah, druid.
I don't know, basically just need to play around with the forms a little bit more, I would think. Like the natures, like there'd be some like Urgot, no, what's his name? There's basically like a druid deity where you get like these advanced forms and shit, so you get like a bigger bear form and shit like that. Ursol, whatever his name is. Yeah, it's something to do with that. Man, I can go through all the classes and post something. But
there's so many.
Because there are like 12 WoW classes now. There are 9 in Hearthstone. Mm-hmm. I don't know anything about Rogue. Rogue had this new cool skill where they jump up. It's like Death from Above, where they jump up and like slam down on things. That's pretty cool. I don't know, but so you definitely could make legendary spells. I just don't think they will.
Yeah. I understand that. I mean, like, creating legendary spells is like the reason for a legendary from like the standpoint of creationism or like design standpoint is like they don't really want 2 copies of it, and they're recognizable figures. You know, like Dr. Boom is now a recognizable figure in Hearthstone. That's what they wanted to create. They wanted to create this, you know, like this ideal of like somebody that's something that people can always be like, oh, I got Dr. 7, you know, like, or they're like, yeah, I played Dr. 7 on Saturday turn 7. And that's like something that people can recognize from one Hearthstone player to another Hearthstone player very easily, no matter what your skill level is. Everyone knows basically what Dr. Boom is once they've played the game once. You know, like you can pretty easily see that card, and I think that's what they want from those. And when it comes to legendary spells, that might be true that you might be able to create an iconic card enough that way, but the iconicism of it is a lot easier when you have a recognizable face like Dr. Boom, or like Malagos, or Alexstrasza, or like Archmage Antonidas. Those things are recognizable characters, unlike a spell, which is not going to be as recognizable or as relatable than a creature or a figure that you can relate to in a sense, or something that stays on the board for multiple turns, and you can be like, oh, I know what that card does now because it's here for multiple turns. It's easier for me to recognize. So like from a design perspective, I could see that for sure. But I would hope that they'd be able to create multiple legendary spells at some point. It'd just be fun.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I think that's something they might leave for a little while down the road. There's a bunch of other stuff they need to do before then.
Yes, agreed. Yeah. Lanik is asking a question. This one's kind of interesting. Might have gone over. What do you guys think of higher priced packs, i.e., more cards in a pack, or at least one epic per certain pack, or any other combo similar to that? So I guess thinking instead of paying 100 gold for a pack, maybe you drop 200 and your chance, like basically upgrading your chances of getting a legendary or epic or something like that.
Nah.
I don't think they'll do it.
I can see where he's coming from in the sense that more gold, more better stuff. But that sort of just fucks with the, I guess, like what dust is worth, and like basically, and what's the incentive to buy a 100 gold pack then? It's like,
true.
People are trying to get the most out of it. If you're guaranteed at least an epic in a 200 gold pack, why would you ever buy a 100 gold pack sort of thing?
Right.
True.
Because like even if the value is much higher. Basically, it's more like the numbers might be like, obviously the numbers are somewhat arbitrary for this example, but basically it fucks the whole system. Basically,
I can see where it would screw with dust rates big time.
Oh yeah.
I feel like depending on what percentage of you winning something or getting a higher rarity card, I guess that would just depend on what the percent rate is. But dust, definitely. Especially if you're guaranteed something. I don't know.
Yeah, Lanicus, there are a bunch of weapons that aren't in the game.
Ooh, Frostmourne,
aren't in Hearthstone.
Yeah. I feel like we're not
Death Knight weapon.
Yeah, we're not going to see Frostmourne until Death Knight's a class.
They did pretty well with like weapons in general, though. I guess like the only thing that's kind of missing at the moment is like the caster weapons, like their Benediction Anathema is like one of the biggest priest weapons that isn't obviously it's not in the game yet, but those would be really sort of interesting to balance, I guess. And I think as soon as you give caster weapons, Harrison Jones becomes an auto include.
That's true.
Oh
too. Yeah.
Like I think that's one of the biggest arguments against putting caster weapons in, because it just makes it too easy to include Acidic Swampoos or Harrison Jones. Like it's just not.
Everybody would want it.
Exactly. I don't think it's that good of a thing. There are definitely, the thing is, there are so many weapon wielding classes down the pipeline, because you've got Death Knight, which definitely, you have things like Frostmourne, obviously, that it would want to use. Death Spite arguably is a Death Knight weapon because it's from ICC. So,
oh yeah.
Then you have monks, which are basically a weapon class. Like they do a lot of fisting and shit, but other than that, and then eventually, God forbid, we get demon hunters in Hearthstone.
Yeah,
then they're definitely a weapon class. So I don't think you need more weapons in the game. I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of strange.
I think you have to keep weapons where they're at. I was thinking about this actually, that exact same thing earlier or the other day, and the classes that get weapons, in my opinion, are the classes that have worse hero powers outside of Paladin. Like Paladin just happens to also have a good hero power, but like the direct damage ones like Druid, and I mean Rogue is an exception because Rogue is just, well, their hero power is a weapon, but like like Druid and Mage specifically, I think of their hero powers are really strong, as well as Warlock. Their hero powers are really strong, and so I don't think they should have a 2-for-1, because all weapons in this game are basically 2-for-1s. You know, like you get a 3/2 weapon, it's going to kill 2 things with 1 card. Like it kills 2 cards for 1 card. Now, granted, you have to use your life as a resource to do that, but like being able to get 2 cards out of 1 card is really, really powerful. And if you give that to every single class, I think it just makes certain classes like Mage really strong. So if you gave Mage Fiery War Axe, for instance, they can go Fiery War Axe turn 2, kill something, and then on turn 4, they're like, kill something and ping it. And then they or attack something for 3 and then ping it to finish it off. And so like it gives them too much damage versatility. And also, if you think about it that way as well, for 2 mana, over 2 turns, they've got 6 extra points of damage, and they've already got fireballs and like other damage effects. So it just doesn't really make sense to give weapons to Mage specifically. I think of first, and like Warlock as well, and Priest to some extent. You know, Priest hero power is actually relatively strong if you have the right cards with it. But I say Priest is maybe the exception of where I could say their hero power is maybe not strong enough to where I would feel like they maybe warrant weapons. And then on the other side, I would say Paladin's hero power is strong enough where maybe they shouldn't have weapons. But at the same time, like I understand from a flavor perspective why Priest doesn't have weapons and why Paladin does have weapons. So I don't know. It's just kind of, I was thinking about that debate the other day in my head, and I was like, that kind of makes sense why we only see weapons in these specific classes, as well as from a flavor perspective, a warrior would make sense to have a weapon, you know, those kind of things.
Yep.
Let's see. Soulstone. That was a cool idea. What would that be? As a card.
What does Soulstone do?
You Warlocks put Soulstone, or put Soulstones on other characters, and they come back to life when they die. Kind of like Reincarnate.
Oh, okay.
It's just one of the tools.
Yeah, but that was definitely. I don't think that would be like legendary. The battle res thing is definitely kind of interesting.
Oh, yeah, that might be a good 10 mana.
Well,
like druids fill the board back up.
I think the only way to make Rebirth like balance would have to be a Druid Secret, where it's like basically a better Repentance. In that, like you get like your Druid of the Claw back to 4/6 taunt health, full health, basically, or like 70% of their health, so like 4/4 or something, but something like that. But it wouldn't be legendary. I don't know. It's kind of strange. Wait, is Tranquility a spell? It's not, is it?
It is
Tranquility.
Not.
No,
right?
Tranquility is one of the most, is the biggest, I guess, Druid spell in that it heals a large AoE. So sort of like Circle of Healing, but much more effective. So I think in order for that to be a thing, you'd have to fully heal all your creatures, and then give them more health to make it like a legendary spell. So if you say like gave all your creatures full health and then +2 additional health, that would be a legendary spell. Be kind of shit, but you know, it's a legendary spell. It's definitely a legendary value effect.
Yeah.
Lanicus brings up something about the weapons again, and this kind of goes back to Magic. What if you give Mage something like staff weapons where they have low or no attack, and do something in the lines of Sword of Justice, and in Magic they have artifacts. I've been wondering when they're going to add something, or if they'll ever add something like that to the game, where it's not a weapon, it's not a minion, it's kind of a status effect item that's sometimes destroyable in some circumstances. It's not a spell, so you can do something about it, later down the line.
I don't know. It feels like it's just like another tier of things to add to your deck to counter. And with 30 cards, I think in that regard, if you add things like artifacts or librams or whatever, so like the other slot, then you're arguably adding too many things to be counted, unless you group the removal effect. So if you acidic Swampoos, you can destroy a weapon and an artifact, or weapon or an artifact, basically, because otherwise you're like committing 2 cards, and you're basically adding an extra set of tech cards into a deck, and I don't think that's necessarily a good idea. The problem with doing that thing with I guess, I don't know if it's necessarily a problem, but the idea is, if is with the mage weapons, you probably don't want to incentivize attacking with it. Like, as you say, lower attack, but then at the same time, the effect might be too good. So say if you get a persistent +1 or +2 spell damage for having the staff equipped, that just inflates the value of Acidic Swampus and Harrison Jones tremendously. Now, that's like fine if you want to do that, but you have to realize what you're doing, I guess, as Blizzard to make those cards an auto include. Yeah. Like, that's okay if that's fully being considered and is deemed okay by Blizzard, I guess.
Yeah, because it definitely makes things like, just like you said, Harrison Jones, if there are weapons everywhere, Harrison Jones is everywhere.
Right.
It's just way too powerful at that point to not include.
Yeah. Harrison Jones becomes like the new Dr. Boob almost. You can pretty much chuck it in anything.
We've talked about this before in the show, but I've always liked the idea of auras as well. You know, give positive aura where your minions get +1/+1 or something like that, or outside of a minion, obviously, or maybe it's give minions -1 attack, or your enemy minions or whatever.
I arguably think that's OP.
I think so.
The game.
Right, I think so too. I think it would have to be super high cost. Maybe there's one of your legendaries. I don't know. I've always liked that mechanic though.
I think it would have to be. I think it has to be minion based almost though. Otherwise, it's too fucking
right. And obviously we have that already. I think part of it is that vanilla. I mean, how many times did we see Stormwind champion? I just feel like 7-drop is so contested now I'm not gonna play that. There's so why would you play that when you play Dr. Boom or anything else? Trogzor even. Trying to bring the meta back, boys. Come on.
I got a funny story about Trogzor.
Oh, did you see?
I almost forgot.
Go ahead.
I queued up a game. It was what was I on? I was on Priest, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, I was either on Priest or Control Warrior, and it was Control Warrior v Control Warrior Priest. It was an Elise Starseeker versus Elise Starseeker battle, and my opponent had cast his Elise before I had cast my Elise, so the monkey had come out for my opponent before I had my monkey out. And my game plan was, I was like, oh, my opponent's almost out of cards. I'm not even going to use my Elise. I'm just going to sandbag it, and that'll be my last card. My last card will be the monkey, and I'm just going to win with the golden monkey. And he got a Trogzor, and all I had left was spells and an Elise, and I was just like, oh my god, I'm so dead. And the worst part was, it was a 6/6, and I had Shield Slam, I think. Yeah, I was on Controller then. I had Shield Slam, and I could only do 4 damage with the Shield Slams. So I had to cast Bash and then Shield Slam in order to kill it. So I gave him 2 Trogs before I could even try and get out of it. I got completely wrecked, and all I thought about was you. I was like, well, that sucks. Mike would love it.
Trogzor and Silent Knight making a silent comeback. No, actually, they're going away. Well, Trogzor's going away.
Silent Knight actually might be a viable card. You never know now.
It has to be. It's got to be. It's
the new.
It has been dictated.
Mini bot.
Yeah, it's been dictated. DRC confirmed. Silent Knight a thing. 2016.
Lord.
Coming to a standard format near you.
I mean, what do you guys think is going to be a good standard? I think Aggro Paladin's going to be good. Who knows? Maybe Silent Knight fits into the Aggro Paladin.
Has
to.
Yeah, I could see Aggro Paladin. I don't know. I want Rogue to make a comeback. That's for sure.
Rogue really doesn't lose anything. That was the other thing from the Curse Trials that I only caught bits and pieces because it was the same day as the Hearthstone world preliminaries for the World Championship, and it was on in the background, on a TV screen where I was at, and so I watched a couple games here and there, but and it seemed like Rogue was doing relatively well, and it just looked like a really solid Miracle Rogue list. So I think Rogue's pretty solid moving forward.
I hope so.
What kind of Tavern Brawlers do you want to see put in, Mikey? Just to address Mr. Lenicus.
Tavern Brawls.
More Tavern Brawls where I don't have to build a deck.
Honestly, yeah. That's it. Today's, I did play one of today's. I did not like. Well, yeah, I just don't want to build a deck. I want to go in. If it's going to be completely random, I want it to be random. Just completely random. I don't know. Yeah, that's,
like
that's
a
really it.
knife juggler one where, knife juggler's automatically on the field for you.
Everyone has
So
knife jugglers.
everyone has a knife juggler, and you just let the chaos ensue. And start with like 4 mana or something, and just
Implosion for days.
exactly.
Sounds savage. I could see that being hilarious.
I think Tavern Brawl having deck building is just silly.
I mean, it fits in with some of them, but I don't like it.
It's not great for the new player either, which is disappointing.
Yeah.
If the new player wants to play with these cards that they can't touch yet.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, Vandio and Atlantic, I mean, that's why I do it too. It's just kind of a nice break between standard or ranked in arenas. I like the randomness. If I just like to be able to go in and press and play. That's it. I don't have to think and just here, go.
Yep. Get your 40, as Vandio says, get your 40 dust.
Get your 40 dust and get out.
Get your 40 dust and get out of there. Yep. Got my 2 wins, get done. Got my 1 win.
Oh, man.
I actually do not like this week's one. Just for those who don't know yet, it's basically everything has charge and taunt.
Yeah.
For this week's Tavern Brawl. It's kind of lame. It's like, you might as well play Face Hunter still. And you might as well just stick huge attack creatures into a deck.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically I need what do I have? I had a quest to play Hunter or Warrior Rogue. So basically I just picked most of my minions with big butts. I did put a Hungry Crab in there just waiting for that Murloc deck, but 1-drops a little there, or little, Zombie Chow and Leper Gnome, but 3-drops. Dancing Swords, 4/4 for 3. Mind Control check just in case. Ogre Brute, 4/4 for 3. Up from there, your Yetis. Patron won me. I've only played 2 games. It won me both my games. Grim Patron.
Because you just keep taunting and charging with patrons.
Yeah.
Does that work?
No, actually, the first one comes down, gets taunt and charge. All the other ones that come out,
the other ones just come out.
Yeah, they just come out. No taunt, no charge. That was pretty interesting. But so I guess it's cards that you play.
Okay. Yeah, because Haunted Creeper, I played Haunted Creeper in my one, and I was like, oh, Haunted Creeper sounds busted. I'll just attack, kill him, get 2 more 1/1s,
Yeah.
2 mana, 3 damage. And then I did the 2 1/1s, didn't do anything. I was like, oh, there goes that plan.
Basically anything with Yeti stats. 4/5's a Pit Fighter with 5/6. That was really nice. It added 5-drop.
Black Knight seems really good.
Yeah, very good. If you don't play Black Knight, what the hell are you doing? Dr. Boom, of course, is good in any format.
Always.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Yeah. Oh, and 2 Ironbeak Owls. That has won me games. All 2 of them. Because you silence whatever's taunted and hit go for face. Yeah, so that's this week.
I hate Tavern Brawl.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it again. I think we talk about this all the time.
We do every week.
I hate Tavern Brawl. So bad.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah. That's Tavern Brawl.
I don't hate it. I just don't actively play with Tavern Brawl.
I don't enjoy it enough to play it. Yeah.
No, I don't enjoy building my own decks.
Yeah. I did like the one where you had to pick at the beginning of the game you got a static effect, a world effect, an enchantment.
That one was all right. Yeah, that was
cool. I wish to see more of those kind of ones where it's like a world changing event. It manipulates the game enough that you see. It's not like a huge effect. It's just a strong enough effect that you can manipulate the world in order to create like a I don't know, like a different game perspective in that way.
It's those auras. I'm telling you, they're testing them out, testing them in Tavern Brawl, game testing them, and they're going to be coming soon. Coming for you, Matt. Coming for you. Hope you're ready.
I'd be down with Boris.
I'm gonna play Duelist or something. Fuck this game.
All right, well, this is episode 56 of the Death Rattle Crew. Don't forget you can follow us on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, your podcast catcher of choice. You can find us at www.deathrattlecrew.com and write into us at mail@deathrattlecrew.com. Brad, where can people find you?
Twitch.tv/BradfordLee. As always, you can find me there. I'm on there every day, except for, I guess I'm on here today.
You liar.
I'm doing this.
So many lies.
Yeah, I'm on there every day.
Lie about being there. Lying about your height. Brad is not 6'3".
Yep, I'm a whopping 6'1"-ish.
Oh man, so short.
Plus or
so
minus
short.
2.
Yeah, no, such a shorty.
Yeah.
Such a shorty.
Yeah, so don't forget you can find us next week. We live stream the show every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the podcast goes up usually the next day. So, for the Death Rattle crew, I am Tak2, joined by Mushu, Bradford Lee, and Just Soup, who's not here, and we will see you next week.
I hope everybody has a fantastic week and enjoys every moment of it.
No, you don't. Don't
Yeah, I
lie.
do.
The series of players continues.